Snow fell endlessly over the small mountain town, covering every rooftop, every silent road, every breath of wind. Some called it the most peaceful place on earth, yet others said the silence of the town was too perfect, so perfect that it felt like something unseen was always watching. And perhaps, in the shadows of the tall pine trees, something really was. In this cold, lonely town lived 6 inseparable friends: Leo, Daniel, Mia, Ava, Jasmine, and Jack. Each of them different, yet tied together by a deep bond that had weathered every storm. Leo was calm, intelligent, and disciplined, the son of Inspector Smith, the town's most respected police officer. Daniel was the complete opposite: reckless, angry, constantly lost in alcohol and bad habits. His father spent most of the year overseas, and loneliness had carved scars inside him. Mia, gentle and soft-spoken, held a quiet love for Leo in her heart, but never dared to say a word. Ava was the cheerful spark of the group, always laughing and making jokes. Jack was brave and protective, the kind of friend who would never let anyone mess with his people. And then there was Jasmine, rich, stubborn, pampered since birth, but honest at heart. What she hid inside, however, was deeper. She too had feelings for Leo. The final exam of their last school year ended, and joy exploded among them. "We're going to celebrate tonight in the forest resort," Jack announced. The plan was simple: no phones, no parents, just one night of freedom. They reached the wooden resort as the sun dipped behind the mountains. It stood in the middle of a snow-covered forest, surrounded by tall trees and a strange, cold silence. Inside, however, the place lit up with laughter. Music echoed, bottles opened, and the darkness outside turned into nothing but a backdrop for their joy. But in the town below, worry began to rise. Parents called again and again, but every phone was switched off. Hours passed, no reply. The uneasy silence grew heavier. Finally, Inspector Smith grabbed his jacket, picked up his car keys, and left for the forest. The road to the resort was narrow, winding through tall pines that swayed like ghostly figures. The headlights of the Jeep carved through the fog, and sometimes, just sometimes, he felt as if someone walked between the trees. A shadow, a figure. But every time he blinked, it vanished. By the time he reached the resort, the air felt strangely heavy, as if even the wind was holding its breath. He pushed open the main door and froze. Inside, the lights flickered weakly. The music had stopped, and in the center of the hall, Daniel stood drenched in blood. Thick red stains covered his clothes, his arms, even his face. In his hand was a large knife, dripping fresh blood onto the wooden floor. And he was chasing Leo. Leo's face was pale, breath shivering, his shirt stained with smears of red. He stumbled as Daniel lunged violently behind him. "Daniel, stop!" Inspector Smith shouted, firing a warning shot into the air. But Daniel didn't stop. His eyes didn't look human. They were wild, almost possessed. There was something unnatural in the way he moved, as if he wasn't himself anymore.
Inspector Smith had no choice. A second shot echoed through the resort. Daniel's body fell to the ground with a heavy thud. Leo collapsed soon after, trembling from shock and deep exhaustion. Inspector Smith rushed to Leo, lifted him carefully, and called an ambulance. His hand shook as he dialed the number, but nothing could prepare him for what he was about to see next. He stepped into the adjacent room. There was blood everywhere. Not spilled, but splattered like someone had painted the floor and walls with brutality. Mia lay lifeless, deep stab wounds marking her body. Ava's throat was cut. Jack had fought. His injuries showed it, but even he had not survived. 3 bodies, 3 friends, one horrifying silence. The forest seemed to swallow the scream that never came out of Inspector Smith's throat. Leo survived after days of treatment, but the trauma etched inside him went deeper than wounds. Eventually, he was sent away to another country to study, far from the nightmare. The town healed slowly. The forest grew silent again. People whispered less and less about that night. Until 15 years later, the murders began again. Not ordinary murders, but brutal, animal-like killings. A doctor was torn apart. A police officer was found with deep claw-like marks. 2 hikers never came home. Only pieces of their clothes were found near the forest. People began whispering again. Something lives in the woods. He has red, glowing eyes. They say he has horns like a wild beast. He is not human. He is the wild man. The police panicked. No logic, no pattern, only bodies. And so the case was handed over to the only man who could solve it. Detective Arion Vale. Sharp-eyed, fearless, and known for seeing truth where others saw chaos. Alongside him came Liora Synn, a world-renowned behavioral analyst. Her handheld device, the PsyMap scanner, could detect emotional energy left behind during violent moments. If fear existed in a room, the scanner sensed it. If hatred lingered, it glowed. If trauma spread like smoke, it revealed everything. Together, Arion and Liora began their investigation. Their first stop, Leo's old house. The room was empty now, but faint traces of past emotions remained. They found diaries, notes, and one line repeated often. "Mia, I wish things were different." Next, they entered Daniel's abandoned house. Dark, cold, full of dust, yet strangely alive. Liora started her scanner. Within seconds, the walls lit up in waves of color, red, blue, violet, swirling violently. "These are signs of deep emotional pain," Liora whispered. "Jealousy, heartbreak, rage, something tore him apart from the inside." Arion noticed an old notebook with a torn photograph. Only half of the girl's face was visible. On the back was written, "My love." Who was she? Why was the photo torn? Who tore it? Questions multiplied. Meanwhile, the town started drowning in fear. People reported seeing a tall creature with glowing red eyes. Some swore it had horns like a wild beast. Others claimed it moved faster than a human should. And then Inspector Moore claimed he had seen the wild man with his own eyes. But Arion didn't trust him. There was something off. When he searched Moore's house, he found items eerily similar to those found in Daniel's home, as if there was a hidden connection between Moore and Daniel's past. The mystery deepened. Then one night, Jasmine called. Her voice trembled with terror. "Arion, something is following me. Its eyes, red. Help me, please." The call ended. Her phone went dead. The next day, Jasmine was gone. No body, no trace, just a splash of blood on the snow-covered ground near the edge of the forest. People began locking their doors at night. The old fear returned, stronger this time.
Inspector Smith was attacked too, barely surviving. Daniel's old house echoed with screams at midnight. Windows opened on their own. Shadows moved. Some swore it was Daniel's spirit. Others believed the wild man killed because Daniel's soul controlled him. But Arion didn't believe in spirits, yet he couldn't ignore the strange patterns either. One evening, as a snowstorm winds howled outside, Arion finally said to Liora, "There is something wrong here. These murders, they feel like two different stories." Liora nodded slowly. "Yes, one killer is driven by cold, calculated hatred, but the other is driven by something far more primitive." The storm outside roared louder. The entire town felt like it was holding its breath. Arion stared into the dark forest from the window. A pair of red lights flickered between the trees. Eyes? Reflection? Or imagination? No one knew. But one thing was certain. The truth was not just hiding in the forest. It was watching, waiting, and it was not human. Was it the wild man? Was Daniel's soul torturing the town again? Was someone using the myth to hide real murders? The questions piled up, and part one ends here, with a single chilling thought echoing in the silent snow. What if the monster in the woods is not a myth at all?